Over to Dr. Sasikumar sir.
Namaskaram, Namaskaram, Namaskaram to all of you. So generous and kind introduction by Kailash Chandraji. He was telling that he was going through Google to find who is this person. So nice of you have collected. I am here because of Pramod Kumar Das ji and through Srinivas ji. I think Srinivas ji joined one of my session last week because of Sushum Dubai ji. And Sushum Dubai and me are known to each other on many platforms. We keep meeting. Most of the ICPR programs when he was there with ICPR before moving to. And I understand that both Kailash ji, Pramod Kumar ji are from Utkal University. Somewhere I have a connection with Utkal University way back in 1986. I was preparing for the distance education program in MSc Mathematics. All the syllabus notes were prepared by me on those days. I was in Bangalore doing my PhD and this was one of my part-time activity where I contributed some Ramchandran Nair is out. Thank you. So thank you for hosting me here on this platform. As the introduction of me was given to Das ji and immediately the response came and then said the lecture is getting scheduled, give me a topic. So I was remembering one of my old, I have a habit of posting my this day 10 years back what happened, this day 20 years back what happened, what was the topic I spoke. And for a long time I didn't speak on a subject called science of life. Maybe that is one of the topic which I spoke 20 years back, almost hundreds of lectures around. So I thought it's nice for me to have a revisit, a thought process on that. I'm sure 20 years made some differences in Dr. TPS as a person. And it's true that the audience today are not keen on science but more on philosophy, because I am indebted to the family of philosophy. Though we keep saying that Doctor of Philosophy is PhD, most of the science PhD people don't understand philosophy at all. Though they have got a doctorate with the title philosophy. I remember one of my poetry which I wrote long back is called Philos to Agape. That's a beautiful poem which I gave as a gift to one of my close daughter like student who was in Delhi. The second poetry in my first collection of poem books. That's from Philos to Agape. Philos is the blind love. That's called the teenage love. Agape is at the old age love, where you are dependent on your partner. Without them, you cannot even get your glass to read. You need support. Such dependent love. In between is what is called eros. That's a socially bounded love. So the poem is that, I'm sure I don't have to explain to all of you. This is downloadable. You can read it. Otherwise, get me on WhatsApp. That was written in 2008, November 20th. So it's almost 12 years old. But today, when I look at life, I look at the definition of ergonomics, which comes from the root word ergon, which has got a physics meaning, because science is physics, what you see around, which talks about work and measurement of work. Though I'm a mathematician, my PhD happens to be in fluid mechanics, so I'm very close to physics. And as a scientist in space department, most of my jobs were in physics related activities. So we keep on talking about ergonomics, which is a root word from Greek, meaning work, natural laws, measurements, performance. And no performance happens without the nature support. So I have got a formula for performance in life. LIFE. Life is live in full enjoyment. LIFE. Life means learn in full enjoyment. Live in full enjoyment, you require science. That is what the contribution of science. Today, probably, if you ask anyone in this world in these days, everybody immediately will agree that two great contributions of science is, one is communication and the second one is medicine. Because without these two, we cannot live. But if you look at in a more generic, nature-centric, high philosophical, it is not science, it is philosophy. Therefore, what is ergonomics? Ergonomics happens to be, it is that philosophy which gives us happiness more than the rational happiness like an animal world too, the higher rational human nature, which we call it as a rational animal. The difference between a work done by a matter, any tool or a gadget or a machine, to a plant, to an animal, to human, that is the growth in which we must look at life science or the science of life. Otherwise, we can talk about science of matter. Maybe we can go to chemistry, physics. When we talk about animal, plants and jiva, life, it can be biology. But when we talk about human life as science of life, I know the platform is philosophy, not the biology class. So we are talking about that life which makes the human life the most highest in the ergonomic sense. What energy can be cultivated in each one of us to give a meaning to this life, whether it is good or bad, whether it is understood or not. Probably that is what Aristotle did when he talked about, when he was dealing with the capability that what one has to occupy in its supreme ability, that creative, critical, holistic solution to problems, not that immediate problems what science can give, but a natural, naturistic, holistic, bigger problem for the whole humanity together, not by immediate solutions. I think that is where the science changes to philosophy. So science can give you an immediate solution to a problem. Therefore, I keep talking, when I am talking in philosophy classes, I keep telling philosophy, keep on asking a lot of questions. We create questions after questions, and probably solutions are not immediately given. Because any holistic problem, if you wanted to understand, you need to have more questions and no immediate solution. You have to take the whole humanity into consideration. Therefore, science of life, in a more generic method, when you talk in terms of philosophy, maybe taking cue from Aristotle or maybe Tao or maybe Confucianistic approach, contradicting views could be there. But Indian Eastern philosophy, because I was quoting all the rest. Indian Eastern philosophy, if you start looking at Charaka, Sushruta, all that great scientists, at the end of all of them, there are only three major requirements. What you want. If somebody asks you what you want, because that's the ultimate result, the work, the output, the ergonomics of life is the output which we can come out. In that case, we have to tell that how and why we are different from other animals. We keep earning, animals don't earn. Animals don't have bank accounts. They don't think of tomorrow. They don't think of future. They live in immediate. The present is the present. But ultimately, all our philosophy asks us to be living in present, forget about past and future. So this is where, are we directing the human to become animal nature? Yeah, one way, that is what Aurobindo says. We have to make us from the top level of human nature to the bottom level and raise our human nature to the spiritual level. That balancing is what is the highest position where somebody can reach. That means don't have the ego of a human, bring it down and be as simple as an animal, as simple as a plant, and bloom like a flower. That's why Aurobindo has got lot of comparison between human and flower. The spirituality of flower. Probably if Aurobindo or Aurobindo's mother, the whole contribution of Pondicherry Ashram is the flower therapy. It's wonderful to learn. I remember maybe 20 years back I was talking about flower therapy based on the mother from Aurobindo's ashram. So how do we become other than those earning animals? Probably humans can be called as earning animals because our focus is always earning. And that makes us different. Dhanam, wealth, money, so much behind it. Than a social human being, we have become a earning animal against the principles of human and social life. Maybe second aspect could be, I don't think any animal will conduct classes like this where a bigger buffalo or a smaller buffalo will talk to bigger buffaloes or smaller buffaloes. The ability to consume knowledge and distribute it across, that ability makes us human. So learning is one, earning is one, learning is the next. And third one, all of us want to get recognition. Each and every human is behind recognition. Either it can be between husband and wife, it can be between father and mother, it can be between child and anywhere. The student and the teacher, taught and the learned, in the society, every one of us is behind recognition. I feel ashamed of myself having lot of trophies which I collected from different parts of the world. All of them are lying in some other house where I am not living today. And no visitors around. Probably I must have spent lakhs and lakhs of rupees to construct the showcases, almirahs in my houses. Not one, 3 houses. Maybe lot of square feet is filled with a lot of trophies, which are all useless and waste. All this has no value in you. It doesn't add any extra 1 penny in your life. It doesn't add extra 1 benefit of advantage of respect in your life. These are all unwanted waste in our life, but all of us are behind it. I feel pity on people who look for certificates for attending a webinar. I feel pity on people who gets rewards and awards which put their pictures, and then I don't know, somebody gives a degree, somebody gives a recognition that this man is the best award as a best teacher. I am sure September 4th is coming, everybody will start celebrating award from best teacher. Who is this man, who is this organization to give award to some other person as the best teacher? I got best social service award. I don't know what social service award. How can you evaluate this? So we are all behind. It gets thrilled when you get this in the early ages. But when you get it older and older, you understand it has no value. As I said, the money gives you value, earning gives you value, learning gives you value, fame gives you value, but it doesn't have any value if you are not able to get into the ultimate of all this is happiness. So what is life? Life is enjoyment. Life is love. If I don't have anybody, I have got one poetry in my book which exactly is apt to today's day as Krishnashtami, because I wrote I need someone, and that someone, if you read it superficially, it looks like I am looking for a company in my life for a temporary enjoyment or happiness. But if you read 3 times, you realize that I am in search of someone who is very close to me, that is Bhagavan Krishna. This is the 26th poetry in my book, the poem in my book. I need you evermore. I was with you in your childhood, because all of us are with God when we are small child. Maybe in the middle age, when we wanted to understand earning is more important, becoming famous is more important, learning is important, you leave most of your happiness. And maybe at the end of the life you realize, oh, this is not what I really wanted. And then you get back into that spontaneous nature, from non-doing, non-action to action to non-doing, non-action. That's the biggest transition which all of us experience. This highest experience in life is what is to be understood in the philosophy when you talk about the science of life in the highest level, which becomes the philosophy of life. Otherwise, science is only how do you study things and find answers to questions in a critical thinking way is what people talk as science. And that is what just now I was talking. Critically think about the purpose of life, the ergonomics of life. What intellectually, practically, all the activities which in the systematic way of structuring me in the society, structuring me in the humanity, to understand how do I fit in the nature, observe it and experiment it with a life which you invest. That will teach you. Whole scientific method is adapted in understanding, and that will lead us to the science which transforms into the philosophy of life. I am sure Charaka, is it Charaka Samhita or maybe rewritten or interpreted by Nagarjuna? There are 2 different texts which mention, so I am not sure, I am not an authority on this. But the sloka says, Sakshat Anubhavaya Drushto na Sruto na Guru Darshitaha Lokanam Upakaraya Etat Sarvam Pradarshitam. Lokanam Upakaraya. What is useful for human being? Lokam and other beings, because Lokam belongs to them also. It is not what you hear from the gurus. Na Sruto na Guru Darshitaha. what is shown by Guru, what is shown by those great professors, that is not what is the science of life. Sakshat Anubhavai, what I experience is what is the science. Not experimental, because life cannot be experimented. It has to be experienced. So what I am talking today is not what I am talking 20 years back as science of life. Because I added too much of philosophy into my life, and I found that Lokanam Upakaraya. That day I was not able to think about the usefulness of me in the society, but because I was constructing my life. When you construct your life, you realize it, you don't require all this in your life. That is the fact of life. When you have it, you think that I don't want. When you don't have it, I'm sure all of us want it. So we are all behind many wants. And when we reach up to the paramount of all these, that is what Maslow's principles of life also. Maslow's principles of management. Maslow's principles of life is that you have basic needs. Once basic needs are done, you need much more. And then you realize it is not that computer works with the ROM and RAM. It is that RAM which works in me, that value which is inside me as Ramadharma, the Ram, spelling is same. That Ram is what gives me value. Probably the valuables around me is useless. So what is more important is the value in life. The Savidya is more important than the Avidya which contributed a lot of valuable things around me. And that realization is the real science of life. Sakshat Anubhavair Drushto Na Sruto Na Guru Darshitaha. Nobody can teach you this. It's a realization. Your experience at your age with a lot of fractional things added to you to make you almost close to full if you had achieved that level. That is what is fulfillment. Otherwise, today we have the science which talks about a lot of drugs. How the drugs are manufactured, you look at it. Every drug comes from the Panchabhuta matter, which may have life, which may not have life. The best sedation in the world comes from the best flowers, because flowers are highly sedative. Every medicine. Amandra Macharam Nasti Nasti Mulamanaushadam Ayogya Purusho Nasti Yojagha Tatra Durlabha. Everyone has got its entity. When you join together, it gives that ability to perform much higher than the individualistic ability. That ability to join people together is what the human, the management ability. So if you look at the different flowers, different stems, different bark, different leaves, different buds, different fruits, the ripe and unripe seeds, the coats around the seeds, all of them mixed together is what is made up as the drug. And that saves us. That is what the saving medicine for each one of us. Aurobindo looks at each flower very closely and he says, the movement of the baby, the sensation of the feeling, and something together both, that movement, very special vibration, is what gives that flower the simplicity. Therefore, it is having a soul, and that soul is highly divine, and that prayer which the flower does to the sun and to the heaven, when it blossoms and gives the honey inside, it's able to attract many things together. And that beauty in flower, that spirituality in flower, that condensed nature inside that fragrance, that discovers the qualities. Not one flower quality, it discovers the nature quality. Identify all such varieties what you have. I remember 20 years back when I collected 200 flowers on the flower therapy. I identified hibiscus alone, more than hundreds. When I created my house in my hometown village, I planted nearly 27 varieties of hibiscus alone. When I look at each flower, its entity by itself, the psychic, spiritual presence, the shining, the vegetal life which it has, which can cure many things. Look at each one of them. Do we have that science of understanding how this life is useful? We have done experiments on flowers to create medicines. Did I identify as a human being? If we think our consciousness is much higher, the remembrance of divine and the divine consciousness makes us to do higher and higher level, which we think that we are the biggest or the most blessed animal than all the other animals, therefore higher than all the plants. When I look through the Aurobindo's or mother's eye, I find that flower is much a better life in this world than each one of us. Are we living in this world and then by the evening we are going back without serving this humanity? That is the question which we have to ask. That is the agronomics which I wanted to look at the science of life in an entirely probably different concept, because I know it is my fortune first time I am talking to the family of philosophy. I was with many academic institutions like Dr. Jayanti Sahu is there. She must have called me many times to talk to students, but I am sure she will find that I am talking on a different angle today, because I know that I am not talking to normal science people. I am not talking to people who passed 10th class and then reaching to graduation for or an undergraduate or a postgraduate student. This is what I wanted to speak. Actually, I thought I will not speak at all. I will start with questions. But then I found probably there is a small thought which I have to share so that maybe you identify what could be the reason for me to put this subject science of life. It's a beautiful topic which can be addressed from different angles. Series of angles can be 360-degree angle can be found. I can talk science of life in terms of only radiation, science of life only in terms of ritualistic life in India, science of life only in the way somebody has to maintain so that he has physically become fit. That's another aspect. Maybe science of life in terms of the emotional, mental, psychological aspect of life can be talked. Or maybe how you can become the most brilliant to read and understand, if that is considered as the ability of human being. So in terms of intellectual aspects, in terms of sociology, also can be done. And yes, as I mentioned, in the spiritual path. So science of life can be identified as physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual aspect. With all the Panchabhuta concept, science of life can be understood or maybe dealt. There are many angles in which we can look at it. But today I thought, being with the philosophy family, this is what I wanted to speak. I think good enough. If this has triggered some of you to ask some questions, I will be the happiest. Yeah. Good enough, Dash ji, Kailash ji, and Narayan Rao sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Now it is over to Dr. Rao to moderate the session.
Yeah.
Dr. Rao.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Dr. Rao is there?
Yes,
Dr. Rao.
Okay,
yes,
Dr.
yes,
Rao.
yes,
Over to
yes.
Dr. Rao
Yes.
to moderate the session.
Namaskar everybody. Namaskar, sir. Sir, thank you very much, sir, for your very nice lecture. To start with, let me make one point that those who have any query, they can make observations or they may pose the questions, but in 2 minutes, should not exceed 2 minutes. If anybody is interested to ask something or to make some observations, they are welcome, they are invited. Anyway, I'm not requesting. We have with us Professor Ranjit Ghosh, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Professor Shashi Kumar has given very in short way what actually should be the science of life. Now, one question is arising in my mind that if it is science of life, and why it is not art of life? And these days, the art of living they are talking about, but both the science of life and the art of life, they aim at the same thing, the happiness or the enjoyment. And why you prefer science of life and not art of life? This simple query.
It is Ranjit Saab, you are a much brilliant person. I am sure that is the question which I wanted someone to ask. And you have actually nailed the exact place where it is to be nailed. We don't have a word for Shastram which can be translated into English. Shastra is the word to be used. Shastra is not science. Science is, I have done a MSc mathematics. PhD I did in physics. I have got a thesis submitted under the university and I got a degree. Because I did in science, people call me a scientist. And that PhD proves something. Is that proof the ultimate? Assume if I read back my same thesis, I find a lot of wrong things which I wrote and somebody gave me a degree. If I ask my student to rewrite the whole thesis and submit as another degree, he will also get a degree. For disproving, we have given degrees to many people in this world. Whereas the first degree is not taken back. So science can be proved and disproved. But Shastra cannot be disproved. So actually the title would have been The Shastra of Life. Jiva Shastram. We keep saying Jiva Shastram. But because we want some English word to be used, I use the word science. Now, question, why not art? Art is some sort of an enjoyment. But when we talk about fact, in which angle I am looking at fact is not the truth. For you, the art is entirely different from for somebody else. Because you enjoy in one direction, somebody enjoys in some other direction. What are you enjoying? What is art for you? The truth, the Shastram is art for you. That is why in Bharatiya Shastram, Nirtam, dance is a Shastram. Nritta Shastram, Sangeeta Shastram. Everything is Shastram in Bharata. Because we believe Shastram is the static, absolute truth. When you look at it, you enjoy, it becomes an art form for you. When you represent a dance, that is an art form, but that is not art. If you look at art can be enjoyed in the only the sound level, maybe in the next level of bhavam, next level in the form of meaning. Art can be handicapped art. When I am listening a Hindi song or Oriya song which I don't even understand, I still enjoy. What am I enjoying? It's actually not. When I listen to a radio drama, drama is a visual art form to be acted and shown on the platform. But we have a radio drama. What are we enjoying there? Is it the full art or the part of the art? But that art form creates a truth in me which my sankalpa can create. Therefore, the art becomes a full art in me, and that art form is called catharsis. Rejanatala. The Rejanatalam in the art, probably we can call it as close to Shastram. So, Shastram is the ultimate. Science is only a small, disprovable, provable fraction of it. Art is only one direction in which I am looking at the Shastra. That is why Natya Shastram. That is why we have got philosophy is also Saundarya Shastram. Tattva Shastram. Art is, the literature is called Saundarya Shastram. Philosophy is Darshana Shastram. How many people can understand Darshana Shastram? Therefore, when you give a degree in the university, you can only give BA because it doesn't even reach close to BSc philosophy. Assume you reach from BA philosophy to BSc philosophy little higher because you are experimenting it by yourself. But that experiment is also within your facts, statistics. Most of the experiments are statistics, which is not full. So what is full, which we don't even, or you have to reach at the highest level to understand, is Shastra. So science of life is a misnomer. It is not what I am speaking. I am talking about Jiva Shastra, the Darshana Shastram of Jiva. As a human being, what is my life in the Darshana Shastra? That should have been the title. Good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. But to what Professor Bose has said, when you have taken during the course of your lecture, you said life is not an experiment; it is experience.
Yeah.
So that's why Professor Bose might have in mind, because you take life as an experience, and how we live, the way we live, okay, that constitutes one art of life. That's why he made a point that instead of saying science of life, it would be art of life. But you made a still more a transcendence to say it is the Shastram of life, and you don't have a translation in English. So it is neither science of life nor an art of life. Your lecture is more a Shastram of life. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your nice
I think Professor Sati Kumar
Yeah.
has given this example, catharsis of the smell from the flowers. That is the experimentation you have taken. That the smell itself is giving a type of catharsis in us.
Yes.
So probably that is your example,
Yeah.
as I have understood.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Professor Sati Kumar Shah. So, well, Srinivasan Krishnamurthy, he wants to ask something. Yes, welcome. Srinivasan Iyer. Sir, in brief.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes, audible, sir. Audible.
Yes. Sir, you asked what is the purpose of life? Hello?
Yeah.
Are you asking from the atheist? Some disturbance is there. From atheistic angle. Hello? Hello?
Yes, it
You
is
are not
clear.
audible,
Yes.
sir. You are not audible. Sir, you are not audible. So let us move to some other professor.
No, he's audible, sir. He's audible. Now, please carry on.
Okay, sir. Are you asking from the atheistic angle, which is materialistic, charvakas or lokayatas? But from the theistic angle, it is spiritualistic. But this mundane world is so greedy after money, as you rightly said, but that from spiritualistic angle, we are trying to reach moksha or liberation. But where is the bridge that can connect both? And secondly, how is the Young's modulus of vibration in physics can be compared to conscious
Not sound is not clear, sir. You asked your past question. So
Yeah, I can answer that.
The past question.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I guess I answered it in a short way, but not elaborated. We have got what is called Purushartham. There is nothing wrong in being materialistic in this world, because as human being we are behind development, we are behind progress. Without that, this world would be like an animal planet. I have got another poetry in which I am asking, give me another birth with less of brain and more of heart, less head and more of heart, so that I am sure what will happen to our life, we will have no boundaries, we will be like another animal life. That is like beautiful, that's more social. But we are not that. We are looking for always creating my people, our people, the concept of family, construction of my identity and entity. Therefore, we always look at creating our progress and development. That is materialistic, nothing wrong. But in Purushartha, the Kama which determines the I need, that is Kama. Kama can be satisfied only when I have Artha. The means of satisfying my desire is called Artham. And that Artham I can get in two different ways. One is Dharmic and Adharmic. If I go through Dharmic, what I get is Moksha. If I go through Adharmic, what I get is misery. It need not be a big aspect in life. Assume I want to go to Singapore to enjoy my trip. I don't have money. I can ask someone to sponsor me. Maybe when somebody sponsors, they are giving me because of my merit, they are gifting me something. That is my Artham. So my desire to go to Singapore can be satisfied by sponsored ticket, somebody takes care of me. All that what I do to satisfy my desire is in the common social norm which is acceptable by the society is dharmic. But assume I don't have money, still I have got the desire. I steal money from somewhere and then go to Singapore. Do you think I enjoy the trip? As a human being, it keeps on haunting me. I cannot stay there permanently. I have to come back. The time I land in India, I am sure police will catch me. That fear will be inside me, which makes me not to enjoy. So am I really getting into that happiness if I go through adharmic way? This is what is being taught in the Bharatiya Shastra. Anything which you do in adharmic will not give you happiness. So moksham is not what I get after my death. Moksham is what I get soon after my job is over, the next thought process, which can be yesterday's action which gives me the thought process. So these thought process is to be purified. So my desire, after some time I think that I don't have to go to Singapore at all. The sankalpa is good enough. I don't need to see a God to do my prayers. The sankalpa is good enough. So from the matter to the sankalpa, I transform. That ability is what is called spirituality. So how much you can, that is what Aurobindo said. From the matter, you come down. You don't require it. You lift yourself to a higher level. Without that also you can enjoy. That is what is non-bondage. The non-bondage, that is there with young children. You give them a toy to play, they will be behind it. Assume they don't have it, they immediately move from that object to another object. They are not bounded to this object. We keep playing with the children. We'll give the pen. The child will be behind it. But assume I want to go somewhere, I will keep it in the pocket and I will give something else. The child is behind it because they are not binded to the requirements. And old age also we will become like that. That becoming is the transformation which I was talking. The young and the old are same. The philos and agape is same. In between is this eros which makes us, what do others think? If I don't react, what will happen? We are all binded by many unwanted thoughts. Can we get rid of this? That is what is Eastern philosophical happiness.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So one thing, sir. Well, in contentment lies happiness, and whatever we have, the way the life leads us, if we are contented with that, maybe we are hitting at happiness rather than thinking of having low brow. So that will be winding nowhere. It will be putting us in a circle of where reason of unhappiness. So be contented in life. So that is the happiness that it can give, that life can ensure to us.
No,
The second
Ravuji, there is a small correction there.
Yes, sir.
Satisfaction is contentment is satisfaction, that is entirely different from happiness. I keep saying you should not become satisfied, but you can always be happy. See, the way I answered, if you ask me, are you happy? Yes, I am happy. Are you satisfied? No, I am not satisfied. I could explain it much better, but I am having constraint of time. I am having constraint of many things. So what do? I restrict myself. That restriction doesn't make me unhappy because I know the situation. So happiness is situational. And satisfaction, contentment is also situational. But what we do, that happiness, can you continue or are you unhappy even after the session is over? Then that will become dangerous for you. That will become conflict inside you. So you can be happy, but you can be unsatisfied. So what do? Next day when I get an opportunity, I will improve myself. Otherwise, if you become satisfied, it becomes stagnant. When you become stagnant, you are most unhappy person.
Yes. Thank you, sir. For your response. Sir, one more thing. Well, Srinivasan Iyer, the second part of the question is something like this.
In this connection, I would like to say to Professor Sasikumar that discontentment is more important.
Yes.
And that is what is the ideal of Mahabharata, that discontentment is the spur of progress.
Yes.
So we have to be discontented rather than contented.
Yeah,
Thank
true,
you, sir. Thank you.
True. Beautifully said.
The second part of Srinivasan Iyer's question, it is something like this. He wants to know what is the parallel, what sort of parallel that we can draw between Young's modulus of vibration and the vibration of consciousness in life.
See,
I don't know. It's modulus of vibration.
the whole physics talks about electromagnetic energy. Anything in this world is electromagnetic energy, which has got, because you have got a 360 degree, it has got not 360 degree in the plane, in the physical world. That's why you have got an electrical energy and a potential energy, which 90 degree gives you a magnetic field. So both electromagnetic energy is world. When I am talking, I am being influenced by lot of electromagnetic energy around me. So the whole life has got an influence from the nature, the electromagnetic energy. So there is nothing different. What you talk about the physics is what is the physics of life. That's why I keep telling, I can talk about only radiation effect on the thought process which I have. I kept on doing lot of experiments on how people can be influenced by different gadgets in your life. How people can get influenced by the mobile phone. I must have given maybe hundreds of lectures on this, because there is an electromagnetic energy which influences you. That can be thought process, that can be subtle energies. I remember I wrote a series of articles in Indian Express. Dr. TPS Press English. There is a beautiful blog. Maybe I'll circulate it if somebody is interested. Where how earth energy, radiation can influence the thought process in my brain. There is beautiful experiments conducted by, I think, the universities in Japan were conducting experiments on the earth radiation influence on the brain function. They found that the radiation can change the vibrations because everything is vibration. My thought process is a vibration. If my vibrations are not perfect, the way in I react will be entirely different. So that's why I keep saying you look at the region, the geography, that will determine the character of the people. Character is entirely different from behavior. Behavior is a modified form of character. But the basic character will be different. That's why when somebody doesn't show the behavior when they are lovers, will be entirely different. Once they get married, they will tell you, I will show you whom I am. The basic character will come out. Where is it coming from? There is a vibration which is inside you which has been controlled. All these physics principles, not just one law. Every law can be applied in human life. I have done a lot of parallel in life, vibration, electromagnetic energy in life. That was my PhD is in radiation, electromagnetic energy. And my interest was looking at how other energies influence the human behavior. So that's why I learned psychology. So I am a mix of both physics and psychology. So the question of Srinivas ji is one of the most interesting topic. Maybe we should have hours together to discuss. Beautiful question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
That was
Sir,
really.
actually, the prior response, not this, the prior response.
Yeah.
Well, one should be contented because, well, that will give a sort of peace. But there should be a scope for improvement. I'm not denying there is a scope for improvement.
Yeah.
Contentment is also be there because if you are not contented with whatever you have, so dissatisfaction hangs every time. Suppose I want a car, I have a car, I want a still bigger car, I'm never contented. So even though I have a car, I had it, still I want.
Rao Sab, you are muted. Yeah.
So that will keep me unhappy every time. Even though I had a car, but I will be unhappy. So I thought of a car, I had a car, I want a better version's car. So if I remain discontent, that will keep me unhappy even though I have a car. People don't have even a bicycle. So contentment is required, but they seem to go for improvement. That is the question I want to ask her.
Yeah, Rao Sab, again, there is a correction. I live in my village. If I have got an old Maruti 100 is good enough because nobody else have. But I live in Hyderabad city in the Banjara Hills where all the rich people are there. If I have got an old Maruti which is not starting in the morning, nobody will come and push. In my village, whole village will enjoy if my car is not starting. Because they will push and enjoy. And I will also enjoy. So my enjoyment depends on where I am. So we are all limited with the contentment based on not me inside me, but what is supported by my neighborhood. That is where the problem is. I have a car is not my requirement. Because my neighbor has a car, I need a car. We always keep comparing. So this comparison is the biggest problem. We go to Kerala, you will see beautiful houses. Most of them are vacant. Why do they construct houses? I am from Kerala. We look at the psychology. If somebody constructs second floor, immediately the neighbor also will construct. It doesn't mean whether they have one person's living there or not. So it is like a competition. So it is not contentment, it is competition which makes you unhappy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But
See, there is a great saying.
Sir,
There is a great saying.
Learning a lot of things, sir. Learning lot of things.
Swayam Atma Nibandhanam Sukham. Swayam Atma Nibandhanam Sukham. but I cannot be. See, I can go in this dress, but if everybody is wearing coat and tie, I feel some sort of an uncomfortable situation. But Dr. TPS doesn't have that uncomfortable situation. You look at my website, you will see Manmohan Singh shaking hand with me. When I was in Prime Minister's office, we were supposed to wear coat and tie and go to Prime Minister's house. But I did not wear. So he was thinking, who is this great man equivalent to me who did not wear that costume? He came to me and shook hand. My boss was asking why you did not wear uniform. He said, you have seen Prime Minister coming and shaking hand with me. We know each other, I said. So sometimes you have to create, there is a saying that uncomfortably comfortable and comfortably uncomfortable. There is a beautiful lecture which I gave sometime in America on driving a car. I was talking to my friend. Dialogue on Drive is the title. The subtitle is Comfortably Uncomfortable and Uncomfortably Comfortable.
So one more thing, sir.
Yeah.
One more thing, and I'm hoping for a correction again.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, comparison, well, which position is better, sir? Comparison with the other or comparison with the self? Well, I'm better than yesterday or not. Should I compare with my own self or should I compare with other and be unhappy always?
See,
So I feel it's better to compare myself, what I was yesterday and what I am today, and I should feel, well, I'm doing better, so I'm improving. But if I compare with others, always I'll be unhappy, discontented, so that will be disturbing. I'm not enjoying my journey of life. I cannot be what the others are. I'm what I am, and I'm comparing myself, and I'm improving, and that's how I'm happy. So being comparing with others and feeling happy all the way, so not enjoying my life, so that is disturbing. So again a correction if any, sir.
see, Om Rao Saab, when you go for Hindi movie, have you seen Amitabh Bachchan with Hema Malini? Did you feel uncomfortable that your wife is not Hema Malini or you are not Amitabh Bachchan? You have a detached view of enjoyment. So you can always have the detached view of enjoyment. I am not that person. I don't have that ability. But still we can enjoy. When you go to a museum seeing the costume of a king, we don't think, oh, I don't have that costume and become unhappy. So we must understand what is written for me, what is able for me, what is good for me and what is not for me. If you can understand that and have that Sakshi Bhava, not an involved Bhava, then you are more happier. It is not that I don't want. I want, but it is not in my paraphernalia. In my format, it doesn't come. That is why we are able to enjoy cinema. Otherwise, I am sure in the cinema hall also you will start crying. Because you are not able to dance like a hero and heroine. You and your wife is not dancing. If somebody looks at cinema like this, they will become totally unhappy in their life. You must see that it is only an art form, I am enjoying it. When you see somebody's house, you must see that they have got a different world, let them enjoy. But I have my world which I am enjoying. If you have this, that is not contentment. That is happiness. You understand. Who is happy? The richest man is Arjide Dukkham, Vyaye Dukkham, Dhanam Sarvatra Dukkadam. Do you think earning money people become happy? I worked with the richest man in the India also. But I have seen the most unhappy. I have worked with maybe the most knowledgeable person. They are also unhappy. It is not that PhD gives you happiness. The more and more you learn, I keep saying PhD is, because in mathematics, PhD is learning more and more about less and less. Because your specialization become narrow and you know everything about it. Do you know in mathematics, more and more is infinity. Less and less is zero. So you know infinite things about zero. Nothing you know. Ultimately, you know only very small branch of subject and you are made to teach in Utkal University and the syllabus is graduation. You will find most unhappy because you only know the little bit of that and you don't know anything. And you become again downgraded and you feel that, is it for this I have taken my PhD? I knew much more things. About what? About a small thing. That is not life. So, higher and higher knowledge makes you unhappy. When you take a BA history, you think that I know the whole history of the world. But when you do MA, you realize, oh, that is master of Atnana. I don't know anything. That knowledge is MA. When you get to PhD, you understand you don't know anything. Humiliation, perspiration, degradation. PhD. Humiliation. Perspiration is
Sir, in this connection, John Stuart Mill's version is coming to my mind.
Yeah.
And, ask yourself whether you are happy and you cease to be so.
That's it.
That means happiness, we did not discuss about happiness.
Yeah.
But one thing, sir, you can answer us, I think, that what is contentment at the individual level and at the social level? Because you see, स्थान काल पात्र ये तीनों का तो consideration होता ही है. So how do you see this perspective? Social contentment, discontentment, and individual contentment and discontentment.
See, in India, we are individually not contented because society also is not contented. Now, I am not that rich, I cannot have air condition in my room is my problem. My servant maid's problem is she don't even have a mixie to grind chutney for her. So everybody has got the requirements in the limited way. So how do you determine what makes your mind fulfilling what you require? Or will I have that mind where wherever I go I can see happiness irrespective of what I don't have? Can we have that? Yes, we can have. I keep quoting all the time, the essence of Ramayana is when Rama became unhappy after education. After +2, when he came back to home, he found that his father is useless. He don't know how to rule the country. He is not a good king. Dasharatha is useless. That is what he did not even respect his father. That is what happens to youth. Because they think that they are most advanced, parents are useless. But then he was sent for 18 days of psychotherapy. That time Dr. Vasishtha was the psychotherapist. Vasishtha gave 18 days of class and written a beautiful book called Yoga Vasishtha. And that book says, the essence of that book my guru taught me. Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi upana gudapadasya nanu charma strutaiva bhuvu. I want leather carpet wherever I walk. Is it possible? Is it possible all the place where I am walking I want leather carpet? Immediate answer, not possible. But it is possible you wear a leather footwear. So you want to see happiness everywhere, carry happiness inside you, irrespective of what others have. If you think what others have, you become always unhappy. My wife is very beautiful, I cannot take her out because everybody keeps looking at her. My wife is so beautiful, I cannot leave her at home and then go because somebody will kidnap her. See, it's all the mindset. Both way I can be unhappy. So it is your decision what and how you want to be happy. It is all Swayam decision. That is the ability which is given by giving you higher and higher knowledge. So what is Bharatiya Shastram? Today, being Krishnashtami, Bhagavan Krishna did not talk about action. He talked about action with knowledge. Karma alone is not good enough. Otherwise you become a Shudra. But with the Brahmana mind, my Uttar Pradesh has to be strong. My Uttar Pradesh is strong. Logically I can think. Second chapter is Uttar Pradesh. But then that is not good enough. I need Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yogam. That is my Madhya Pradesh. I know how to survive. If you don't know the trick of surviving, you will become useless. You need a shoulder to be up. So, you need to know the trick of life. You need to know the actions. But all these are useless if you are not in action. So, what is essentially required? You need to do karma. Assume you have great brain to analytically think, logically think, a lot of questions are there, but you are useless in action. All that professorship is useless. You require actions. So 200% busy. If somebody asks me what is Bhagavad Gita's message, 200% busy with logical thinking. with full happiness inside you, I am into action. I am enjoying what I am doing. Dr. TPS is enjoying philosophy lecture here. I don't mind whether you are suffering or not. I am enjoying. If I enjoy, there may be few people who are also enjoying. So that is my social aspect. But if I don't enjoy individually, all the society will suffer. So what is essential? Individual contentment is essential. Then I can think about the social contentment. So if every individual is happy, yes, my kudumbam is happy, my family is happy, my society is happy, my loga samasta sukhino bhavantu. But people talk about loga samasta sukhino bhavantu, but individually, internally, he is burning, unsatisfied. That's the problem. That is why we are not progressing. Beautiful observation, which makes me to think entirely different.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. So you take real life situations to explain your ideas beautifully, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.